In a world filled with uncertainty, where truths are often masked and ideals clash, two giants of thought rise above time and space for an encounter that could change the way we see life, morality, and the very destiny of humankind. Welcome to Transcendental Mind Dialogues of Philosophy and Spirituality. Today, two worldviews collide. Jesus of Nazareth, a central figure in human history, whose teachings of love, forgiveness, and humility have shaped cultures for millennia. And Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher who declared, "God is dead," challenging the foundations upon which many societies are built. What happens when the ultimate symbol of altruism meets the advocate of radical individualism? Can unconditional love coexist with the will to power? And how does each interpret the role of suffering in the human journey? Prepare for a transcendental dialogue that explores these profound questions through the voices of Jesus and Nietzsche, as we seek not only to understand, but to feel the weight of their words and the impact of their ideas on our modern world. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the first episode of this epic series. Be ready to question, to reflect, and perhaps to transform your own worldview. Jesus of Nazareth, a figure who transcends religion, is revered as the epitome of love and compassion. His foundational teachings, centered on the Sermon on the Mount, propose an ethic of forgiveness, love for one's neighbor, and a promise of eternal salvation. For Jesus, true morality is a matter of the heart, not just external actions. He challenges his followers to seek an inner purity that reflects an unconditional love for all, including their enemies. Friedrich Nietzsche, on the other hand, emerges as a disruptive force in Western philosophy. With a life marked by illness and isolation, Nietzsche challenged social and religious conventions with works like Thus Spoke Zarathustra and On the Genealogy of Morality. Nietzsche critiques Christian morality, seeing it as a slave morality that stifles human potential. He champions the idea of the Übermensch, or Superman, who creates his own values and lives with a will to power that transcends established norms. With these two distinct worlds of thought, our dialogue begins with the nature of morality. How does each thinker approach good, evil, and moral responsibility? Jesus promotes a life of surrender and service, while Nietzsche blazes a path of self-definition and fulfillment. As Jesus' words resonate through the centuries with a call to altruistic love, Nietzsche confronts us with a fierce challenge to the moral status quo. Now they meet in this transcendental and philosophical cosmic alignment.
Greetings, Friedrich. I have been reflecting on your critiques of the morality that society accepts without question. It is an honor to be able to explore these profound questions with someone of your insight.
And I greet you, Jesus. While our views may diverge, I recognize the depth of your impact on humanity and the sincerity of your commitment to human well-being. I am eager to discuss our different perspectives on morality and existence.
With a mutual recognition of their intellectual stature, Jesus and Nietzsche prepare for a dialogue that promises not only to elucidate their philosophies, but also to offer insights into how we can approach issues of morality and purpose in our own lives.
Let us then examine together not only what we think, but why we think so, and what our ideas mean for the world today.
Yes, may every word we exchange today illuminate both the foundations of our beliefs and the paths they open for the future of humanity.
The greatest commandment is this: You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets.
Love is the virtue of the weak. The strong must rise above these decadent values that encourage subservience instead of sovereignty over one's own existence. What you call love for one's neighbor, I call poison to human potential.
As the debate intensifies, Jesus and Nietzsche dig deeper into their philosophies on morality. Each defends their view with passion and insight, seeking to illuminate not only their own truths, but also the potential errors in the other's thinking.
Friedrich, you propose that each man must create his own morality, but would that not lead to chaos? If each follows only his own will, how can we then build a just and compassionate society where the weak are protected, not preyed upon?
Jesus, you preach kindness and compassion as universal virtues, but are these not the same ideals that have been used to keep the powerful in power, by asking the oppressed to accept their fate with humility? The morality you defend, does it not imprison as much as it liberates?
True freedom comes from within, from the ability to act with love, not out of obligation, but out of choice. The morality I teach is not a chain, but a liberation from the chains of selfishness and hatred. How can you call freedom the philosophy that isolates the individual in his own tower of self-importance?
And yet, is not your call for unconditional love also a form of domination? By insisting that we must love unconditionally, do you not place an unbearable burden on humanity, expecting them to deny their own deepest feelings and desires in favor of an idealization?
The love I speak of is not a burden, but the purest expression of our humanity. It is not denying oneself, but fulfilling oneself. True love is the most revolutionary force there is, for it transforms not only individuals, but entire communities.
And I say that true transformation comes from the overcoming of oneself, not from submission to external ideals. Morality must be a self-creation, not an inheritance. Only then can man be truly free.
The words echo in the air, laden with millennia of human thought. On one side, a view of morality as transcendent altruism. On the other, as uncompromising authenticity. While the debate on morality reveals profound differences, Jesus and Nietzsche now turn to another universal question: suffering. Each offers a distinct perspective on the role and meaning of suffering in human life.
Suffering, while difficult, carries with it a potential for redemption and spiritual transformation. It is not a state to be sought, but when it comes, it can be a means by which we draw closer to divine understanding and compassion for others.
Suffering should not be glorified as a gateway to some celestial realm. Rather, it must be confronted and overcome. Suffering sharpens the will to power, forcing us to transcend our current limitations and reaffirm our lives with greater intensity.
Do you not think, Friedrich, that by focusing only on overcoming suffering, we deny a fundamental part of our humanity? Suffering teaches us about vulnerability and the need for connection, lessons that are vital for true spiritual growth.
Jesus, you argue that suffering connects us, but I see it as a chain that binds us to fear and dependency. True freedom comes from mastering our suffering, not embracing it as inevitable companions on our journey.
The dialogue deepens as they explore the dual nature of suffering. For Jesus, it is an opportunity for empathy and self-surrender. For Nietzsche, it is a battlefield where the individual must emerge victorious to achieve greatness.
Yet, Friedrich, in my teachings, suffering brings with it the promise of comfort and divine companionship. It is not an end, but a means to develop greater understanding and inner peace.
And I insist, growth comes when man stands alone, without gods or celestial promises. Suffering, when overcome by one's own will, shapes a truly free spirit.
The worldviews clash, offering the viewer two interpretations of suffering that could not be more different. Both thinkers, however, seek to answer the same question. How should we live in the face of inevitable suffering? As our dialogue deepens, Jesus and Nietzsche now explore the ethics of self-realization. Both seek to answer the eternal question of how to become our best selves, but in surprisingly different ways.
At the heart of my teachings is the pursuit of spiritual perfection, a call to be perfect as our Heavenly Father is perfect. This is not a selfish pursuit, but a path to fulfilling oneself through service and love for one's neighbor.
And I challenge that notion, for I see that the traditional morality you promote often encourages the renunciation of the self in favor of an ideal that not everyone may desire or be able to achieve. My philosophy exalts the Superman, the individual who creates his own values and defines self-realization on his own terms, not those of someone else.
Friedrich, to consider self-denial to be purely a loss of the self is a misconception. In fact, it is through the relinquishing of selfish ambitions that one can find greater freedom and deeper fulfillment, a unification with something beyond mere being.
But does not this unification of yours stifle the unique individuality that each man possesses? True freedom, I believe, comes from affirming oneself, not from diluting oneself into concepts like all are one. Each man must be the architect of his own virtue.
It is a matter of perspective, Friedrich. What you see as dilution, I see as expansion. By connecting with others and with the divine, one does not lose but gains. It is not individuality that is sacrificed, but the illusion of isolation.
Interesting, Jesus, that you speak of illusion. To me, the greatest realization is awakening from the dogmatic slumber imposed by traditions that serve more to comfort than to challenge. The awakening I propose is that of personal power and freedom that comes from confronting and shaping the world, not conforming to it.
Here at the core of their ideologies, both thinkers present visions of how fulfillment can be achieved, whether through spiritual transcendence or radical affirmation of the self. Each approach offers a distinct path to understanding our existence and our potential.
Friedrich, it has been a true privilege to explore these depths with you. May our discussions serve to illuminate not only our own paths, but also those of those who hear us.
And I thank you, Jesus, for this challenging dialogue. May our words resonate beyond this encounter, stimulating further questioning and seeking new truths, until we meet again to continue this journey of discovery.
And so our thinkers part ways, but the conversation is far from over. The questions raised today are just the beginning of a broader dialogue that we hope to continue in the future. This encounter between Jesus and Nietzsche challenges us to reflect on our own beliefs and the meaning of our personal quest. Every view, every word exchanged today invites us to look inward and outward, to question the conventional and explore the extraordinary in ourselves and around us. In a world that often seems divided by differences, dialogues like the one today remind us of the bridges we can build through understanding and mutual respect. May this dialogue not only inspire, but also transform, leading us to find new ways to see and live our lives. If you were moved by this dialogue and want to see more encounters like this, subscribe to the Philosophy and Spirituality channel. Don't forget to like this video and share it with friends and family who might also benefit from these profound reflections. And if you are eager for a continuation of this discussion, comment Part 2 below and turn on notifications. Your voice is crucial in bringing more of these epic and transcendental dialogues to life. Join us on this journey of exploration, reflection, and personal and spiritual evolution. See you in the next video.